His story opens on a desolate, snow-covered ranch in the heart of the Wild West. The winter storm is relentless, whipping the barren landscape with freezing winds and blinding snow, emphasizing the isolation of the ranch and setting a tense, suspenseful mood. Silas Kane, the ranch's owner, is introduced as a rugged, solitary man. He's a figure shaped by years of hard work, survival, and solitude, living in a world where trust is earned cautiously and life is harsh. The harsh weather mirrors the harshness of his life, reflecting both the physical and emotional coldness he has grown accustomed to. As Silas goes about checking his livestock and securing his property against the storm, he notices a fragile figure moving through the snow, nearly invisible against the blizzard. This is Lila, a young woman wrapped in a tattered, thick cloth that conceals her entirely. Her sudden appearance is jarring, and the reader immediately senses that her presence is unusual. Someone so vulnerable could not have survived the storm without extraordinary resilience, hinting at the unusual nature of the character. She pleads for help, her voice frail but urgent, adding emotional weight and immediately generating sympathy. Her fear and insistence on keeping the cloth intact introduce a central mystery. What is she hiding? Silas's initial reaction is a mixture of caution and curiosity. He is naturally suspicious of strangers, especially in such a remote setting, but he cannot ignore someone in obvious distress. This decision introduces a key aspect of his character. Beneath his gruff exterior lies a moral compass that compels him to help the defenseless. By bringing her inside, he offers warmth, shelter, and protection, establishing the ranch not only as a physical space but also as a symbolic sanctuary where hidden truths can gradually unfold. The interaction between Silas and Lila is layered with tension. Lila is wary, secretive, and almost fearful of the smallest gestures, while Silas is cautious, yet compassionate. Their dynamic begins to build suspense, as the reader senses that something extraordinary lies beneath her fragile exterior. Through small details, Lila's trembling hands, her insistence on the cloth, her fleeting glances, and the story teases a hidden secret, engaging the audience and compelling them to ask, why does she hide so desperately? What is she running from? By the end of Part 1, the foundation for the story's central mystery is established. The storm, the remote ranch, and the strange circumstances of Lila's arrival combine to create an atmosphere of tension, isolation, and curiosity. The reader is introduced to the central characters, the setting, and the story's driving question. What is hidden beneath the cloth, and how will Silas react when the truth is revealed? This part sets the tone for the unfolding drama and emotional connection between the characters, laying the groundwork for the suspense and revelations that follow. Part 2 picks up the suspense built in Part 1 and delves deeper into the mysterious secret Lila is hiding. After being brought inside the warmth of Silas Kane's ranch, the tension between the two characters escalates. Lila's insistence that Silas not remove the cloth creates a sense of urgency and curiosity. The reader, along with Silas, is left wondering why she is so desperate to conceal her body. Her fear is palpable, and her refusal to reveal herself immediately hints that her secret is extraordinary and potentially dangerous, setting the stage for a shocking revelation. Silas experiences a conflict of emotions in this section. On one hand, he feels a natural instinct to respect her wishes and provide comfort without violating her boundaries. On the other, his curiosity and concern for her safety tug at him, compelling him to know the truth. This internal struggle humanizes Silas, showing that his rugged exterior hides a thoughtful and morally sensitive individual. The tension here is psychological as much as it is narrative. The stakes are not just physical, but emotional and ethical. Through subtle observations, Silas notices unusual patterns beneath the cloth, hints of something unnatural. Perhaps her skin appears to shimmer faintly in the dim light, or strange moving markings ripple across her arms. These small details are crucial because they foreshadow the revelation of Lila's extraordinary nature without fully giving it away. The narrative uses sensory cues, the flicker of light, the unusual texture of her skin, her trembling hands, to build suspense, keeping the reader on edge. A flashback or brief hint of her past may be introduced here, suggesting that Lila is fleeing from a dangerous force. Perhaps a shadowy group or a mystical organization seeks her because of what she carries within her, an inherited power or legacy. This establishes the stakes. Her secret is not just a curiosity, but a matter of life and death, increasing the reader's investment in her survival and Silas's protective role. The climactic moment of Part 2 is when Silas, despite Lila's desperate pleas, carefully removes the cloth. The reveal shocks him. The markings on her skin glow faintly or appear almost alive, moving subtly as if the body itself is imbued with an otherworldly energy. His physical reaction, shaking, unable to comprehend what he is seeing, conveys both awe and fear, reflecting the enormity of the discovery. This moment serves as a turning point in the narrative, transforming the story from a survival drama into a tale intertwined with mystery, supernatural elements, and hidden power. By the end of Part 2, the foundation for the story's larger conflict is laid. Silas and the reader now understand that Lila is extraordinary and that protecting her will be fraught with danger. The emotional bond between the two characters begins to form here, rooted in trust, fear, and the shared shock of confronting the unknown. Part 2 effectively escalates tension, deepens character complexity, and propels the story toward the coming revelations and challenges that will define their journey. Part 3 shifts the story from mystery and suspense into a realm of supernatural tension and emotional development. After Silas Kane has seen the markings on Lila's skin, the consequences of that revelation begin to manifest. The story moves beyond mere curiosity. Lila's secret is not just strange, it is powerful, dangerous, and potentially uncontrollable. This section explores how both characters grapple with this new reality, while the environment around them begins to reflect the turmoil of the unfolding events. The chapter begins with Silas still shaken by what he witnessed. His hands tremble, and his mind struggles to reconcile the ordinary world he knows with the extraordinary reality Lila embodies. Meanwhile, Lila is visibly anxious, as though revealing her secret has weakened her control over it. She warns Silas to remain cautious, hinting at the latent power within her that could manifest unpredictably. This immediately establishes stakes. Her abilities are not merely impressive. They are volatile, capable of creating chaos if mishandled. Subtle supernatural events begin to occur around the ranch. Objects may levitate briefly, lights flicker or pulse, and the storm outside intensifies unnaturally, as though Lila's inner power resonates with the environment. These phenomena demonstrate her connection to forces beyond human understanding. The narrative uses these external disturbances to symbolize the internal tension, both Lila's fear of her own power and Silas's struggle to comprehend it. The reader experiences suspense and wonder simultaneously, as the supernatural elements hint at deeper mysteries tied to her lineage or destiny. Lila confides in Silas about the markings and their origin. She explains that they are tied to an ancient bloodline, one that carries powers passed down through generations. These powers make her both extraordinary and a target. Her abilities have drawn the attention of dangerous forces that could threaten her life. This exposition grounds the supernatural elements in her personal history, creating a bridge between her past and present and clarifying the stakes. The story begins to suggest that Silas's role is not just that of protector, but of an active participant in her survival, deepening their emotional connection. As the chapter progresses, the first hints of Lila's abilities manifest in controlled yet alarming ways. Perhaps she unintentionally causes small tremors in the floor, or an object moves at her command when she is frightened. These incidents emphasize that her power is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, and that mastering it will be essential to her survival. Silas's response is crucial. His courage, empathy, and willingness to trust her set the foundation for the bond that will drive the story forward. By the end of Part 3, the story has fully established its central tension: Lila's extraordinary powers and the danger they attract. The narrative moves beyond simple mystery into an emotionally and supernaturally charged story, highlighting the stakes of survival, trust, and the growing connection between the characters. The reader is left eager to discover how these powers will be challenged and controlled, and what dangers lie ahead from those who would exploit her abilities. Part 4 escalates the tension dramatically, transitioning the story from mystery and supernatural intrigue into direct, life-threatening conflict. Silas Kane and Lila, having established an uneasy but growing trust, are suddenly confronted with the reality that Lila's secret has drawn dangerous attention. The previously implied threat of pursuit becomes tangible as a group of mercenaries arrives at the ranch intent on capturing or harming her. This confrontation forces both characters to act, testing their courage, intelligence, and the strength of their newfound bond. The arrival of the pursuers is sudden and menacing. They are depicted as ruthless and highly skilled, moving through the snow and storm with precision, showing that they are experienced trackers and killers. Their presence contrasts sharply with Silas and Lila's vulnerability, emphasizing the isolation and stakes of the situation. The narrative may briefly show the pursuer's perspective, cold, methodical, and driven by greed or fanaticism, which heightens the suspense and gives the reader a sense of imminent danger. Silas, a seasoned rancher accustomed to harsh conditions but not to supernatural threats, must quickly adapt to protect both himself and Lila. He uses his intimate knowledge of the land, the ranch, and the surrounding wilderness to prepare for the confrontation. This could include barricading entrances, setting traps, or using the terrain to his advantage. These actions showcase his resourcefulness and establish him as more than a passive observer. He is actively engaged in safeguarding Lila, demonstrating courage and ingenuity. Meanwhile, Lila's latent powers begin to manifest more dramatically during the confrontation. Her fear, combined with the proximity of the threat, triggers involuntary displays of supernatural ability. Objects move, lights flicker, and the storm outside seems to respond to her heightened emotions. These manifestations are chaotic and uncontrolled, highlighting the challenge she faces in mastering her powers. The narrative uses these events to deepen the reader's understanding of Lila's abilities and the danger they present, not only to her enemies but also to those she seeks to protect. The battle itself is tense and cinematic, combining elements of survival, strategy, and the supernatural. Silas and Lila must rely on each other in unprecedented ways. Silas's practical skills complement Lila's extraordinary abilities, and their combined efforts manage to repel the attackers, though not without consequences. The ranch suffers damage, and both characters are physically and emotionally strained, emphasizing the cost of this confrontation. By the end of Part 4, the story has raised the stakes significantly. The reader understands that the threats Lila faces are real and persistent, and that Silas is now irrevocably drawn into her struggle. Their bond is strengthened under fire, solidifying a partnership built on trust, courage, and shared adversity. This section sets the stage for the deeper revelations and character growth that will follow, as the pursuit of Lila escalates and the limits of her power begin to emerge. Part 5 shifts the story from external conflict into emotional and narrative revelation. After the intense confrontation with the mercenaries in Part 4, Silas Kane and Lila are left physically exhausted and emotionally strained. But the crisis creates an environment in which deeper truths can be shared. This section focuses on Lila's disclosure of her lineage and the importance of the power she carries, while also solidifying the bond between the two central characters. The chapter opens in the aftermath of the attack. The ranch is damaged, the snowstorm rages outside, and both Silas and Lila are shaken but unharmed. This moment of calm allows for introspection. Silas, who has relied on practical skill and instinct to protect the ranch, and Lila, begins to process the magnitude of what he has witnessed. The chaos of the previous confrontation highlights the uniqueness of Lila's abilities and the danger she represents, not in malice, but in the powerful forces seeking to exploit her. Lila, recognizing the trust she now has with Silas, begins to reveal her story in detail. She explains that she descends from a long line of guardians tasked with protecting a sacred artifact capable of altering reality itself. This artifact is connected to the markings on her skin, which act as both a key and a seal. The cloth she wore when first discovered by Silas was not just for warmth or modesty. It served as a protective barrier, containing the artifact's latent energy and shielding her from those who would pursue her. Through this exposition, the narrative ties together the mystery, the supernatural elements, and the stakes, giving context to the dangers she faces. Silas learns another crucial detail. He himself has an unexpected connection to this legacy. A mark on his hand, previously unnoticed or dismissed, matches symbols within Lila's bloodline. This revelation deepens the story's mythos and positions Silas as more than a protector by circumstance. He is, in a sense, intertwined with the destiny Lila must navigate. Their partnership now carries weight not only in survival, but in a shared purpose, establishing a connection that goes beyond simple trust or empathy. As they process these truths, the emotional dimension of their relationship grows. Silas, initially wary and reserved, begins to respect and admire Lila for her resilience and the burden she carries. Lila, who has been cautious and secretive, opens herself to trust and emotional vulnerability for the first time since her flight. This mutual acknowledgement of reliance and understanding forms a solid foundation for their bond, reinforcing the theme that connection and trust are essential when facing extraordinary challenges. Part 5 ends with a renewed sense of purpose. The characters now understand the magnitude of what is at stake: the artifact, Lila's powers, and the mercenaries who will not give up. They make plans to secure the artifact and protect themselves from future threats, preparing both strategically and emotionally for the battles ahead. This section deepens the narrative, intertwining plot, character development, and the supernatural mystery, while setting up the climactic confrontations and transformative events that will follow in Part 6. Part 6 serves as the climax and resolution of the story, bringing together the narrative threads of mystery, supernatural power, and emotional growth. After building tension through Lila's secret, her powers, and the relentless pursuit of mercenaries, this final section delivers the confrontation that tests the characters physically, mentally, and emotionally, while also providing a transformative resolution. The chapter begins with the blizzard reaching its peak, creating a dramatic and chaotic setting for the final showdown. The storm mirrors the internal tension between fear and courage in both characters. The mercenaries, relentless and methodical, have tracked Lila to the ranch once more, determined to capture her and exploit her powers. The threat is immediate and dangerous, highlighting the urgency of action and the high stakes of the situation. The environment itself, wind, snow, and icy terrain, acts as both a challenge and a weapon, forcing the characters to think strategically while navigating the blizzard. Lila, having gained a greater understanding of her powers in the previous parts, must now fully embrace them to survive. This is a moment of personal transformation, as she faces not only external enemies, but also the fear of losing control over the energy within her. Her abilities manifest in full force. Objects move at her command, the storm responds to her emotional state, and an aura of power surrounds her. The narrative emphasizes the dual nature of her power, awe-inspiring but potentially dangerous, and the need for focus and trust in order to channel it effectively. Silas's role is crucial in this climax. Though he is human and unenhanced, his courage, quick thinking, and intimate knowledge of the ranch give him a strategic advantage. He works in tandem with Lila, guiding her, protecting her, and acting as an anchor to help her control the overwhelming force she wields. Their synergy during the battle demonstrates the strength of their emotional bond, forged through trust, vulnerability, and shared struggle. Silas's bravery complements Lila's power, illustrating that true strength lies not just in supernatural ability, but in loyalty, courage, and human connection. The confrontation culminates with the mercenaries being defeated, their plans thwarted by the combined efforts of Silas and Lila. The artifact's energy, once unstable, is now fully integrated with Lila's control, creating a moment of balance and calm amidst the chaos. This victory is not only physical but symbolic. Lila has embraced her identity, mastered her powers, and found trust and partnership in Silas, while Silas has grown into a protector capable of facing extraordinary circumstances. The story concludes with a sense of transformation and hope. The ranch, though battered by the storm and conflict, represents stability and sanctuary. Lila and Silas, forever changed by the events, form an unbreakable bond, protector and guardian, ordinary and extraordinary, human and supernatural, united by trust, courage, and shared destiny. The narrative closes by emphasizing that true power lies not only in the supernatural, but in connection, compassion, and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds.